Okay, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Avenir 2020. To briefly introduce you to this institute and the department. Established as the Roorkee College in 1847, our institute was rechristened as the Thomson College of Civil Engineering in 1854. Formerly known as the University of Roorkee, this institution also happens to be the first technical university of independent India. In the year 2001, it was elevated to the status of an IIT. Now coming to our department, it was commissioned in 1998. The Department of Management Studies rightfully believes the juxtaposition of theory and practice is what turns MBA into a fruitful venture. With eminent faculty from both academia and industry, the department also boasts a large number of research scholars. Coming to our achievements and awards, it's a matter of great pride for us that IIT Roorkee was ranked first in management in India by Times Higher Education World University Rankings for Emerging Economies 2019. While IIT Roorkee as a whole was ranked third best in the university in the country, it was placed at 35th position globally. IIT Roorkee also secured first position among the IITs in the citations per faculty parameter by QS World University Rankings. Leaving behind many reputable B schools, including many IIMs, over the last 3 years, IIT Roorkee has consistently figured among the top 10 MBA colleges in India, as per the National Institutional Ranking Framework brought out by the Ministry of. We are ranked 12th as per the NIRF 2020 and first in the parameter of research and professional practice. Students here actively participate in the various national and international level of competitions and exams. A few highlights are 4 students have cleared CFA level 1 and 1 has cleared FRM level 1 into 2019. 4 students have bagged All India ranks into top 15 in Flip National Challenge 2019. Many have won accolades in various B schools events held in IIMs, IITs, and many other management colleges. Now, looking at the demographic batch 2020, it was a batch of 77 students having an average work experience of 25 months. The pre-placement offers witnessed a gigantic 300% increase as per compared to the previous years. The mean CTC was 10.12 lakh per annum and the median CTC was 10 lakh per annum. Some of our recruiters have been KPMG, RBS, Infosys, HCL, Future First, and several others. Next to the demographics of batch 2021, it's a batch of 48 students and has an average working experience of 23 months. The summer placements offered a variety of roles and experiences. The mean stipend was 60,000 rupees and the median stipend was 50,000 rupees. Some of our recruiters have been KPMG, RBS, RBI, BIRA, Hyperverge, and several others. Now coming to our batch of 2020, it's a batch of 71 students, including 43 freshers and 28 students having working experience of with an average working experience amounting to 24 months. This is also the second batch after 2021, which included students from commerce background. This is all about our department. Now I would like to welcome our guest of honor. Today we are privileged to have with us Mr. Subir Bikas Mitra. We are delighted to welcome to him to this flagship event of Ground in Roorkee. Mr. Mitra has a long work experience of more than 36 years in the field of HR. He is well renowned for formulating several policies in the field of HR and legal, which are being followed by the industry. He is also a key member of many financial institutions like AIMA, SHRM, ISTD, and National HRD Network. He is currently the Executive Director of Law and HR at GAIL India Limited. So without further ado, I would request Mr. Mitra to guide us through this session. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, respected management of the esteemed institutions IIT Roorkee. At the very outset, express my sincere thanks to the of the institution and especially Mr. Mitra. In fact, I am afraid to permit me to be a part of this platform. I could doubt that this is an annual event and under the umbrella of Avenir, and I'm sure the celebration is going on in its full swing, and that would be, key learnings and key takeaways also from this, the celebration. I being one of the the participant in this, event, I also look forward to have many key learnings. I would not like to be a, if I look at the the theme, it speaks about only two dimensions, and that happens to be the entire gamut of the, HR functions. That is human capital management and the idea of leadership. And it does not leave anything. Uh, I would not like to touch upon the theoretical part of it because I understand that by now you must be bombarded with the several concepts, theories, and the terminology coined by the overseas scholars and the scholars of this country, and the process is still evolving. So I'm a hardcore, practicing manager. So I would like to, share my experiences and my key learnings. So essentially, I would like to share few slides, and instead of focusing more on to the theoretical part, I would rather, speak more on to, my journey, how, I have worked and what are the, key learnings I had in the course of my journey. Let me share a few slides. My presentation will be covering only 4 or 5 slides because I don't believe in, overloading you on the, the theoretical part. So, yeah. So, so my limited presentation would be that on human capital management and idea of leadership that happens to be the theme of this institution. Let me get into the process framework. So if you look at the, I would like to have the flow presentation. I really, in fact, it talks about what we really understand by human capital management and the idea of leadership. But my focus would be, as I mentioned, that sharing of life, career experiences, my key learnings. So let me start with the human capital management. Let's not look at the theoretical part. It generally talks about the processes, systems, and the procedures revolving around the policies you make or formulate regarding the people resource management. Why people is important? As you all know, the people happen to be, the most scarce resource. It is crucial resource, and they happen to be the very, the critical resource as well. But most importantly, the human resource happen to be the most costliest resource and most unpredictable resource. And therefore, any organization thinks about formulating a policy so that the principle of just equity and fair play in place. There is no discrimination. There is a large scale of uniformity and consistency in its approach. I think I have made my position clear. So if you look at the human capital management, I am not getting into the terminology coined by many scholars, but it is basically to attract, to retain, and to motivate employees to make sure that they contribute to their best for the growth and prosperity of the organization. And if you look at the entire function, it could be, brought under 3 umbrellas: talent acquisition, talent management, and talent optimization. And in fact, talent acquisition is basically nothing but recruitment and selection starts with the manpower planning. In our days, when I did my, MBA from the Calcutta University way back in 81-83 batch, So we have specialized in personnel management. There's a long journey that has taken place. People move from personnel to HR to HRM to HRD, so on and so forth. I'm not getting into those issues. But today, even if you look at the manpower planning, or for that matter, that workforce, the planning, generally talks about that you must have the right kind of people at the right place, the right point of time. And when I say the right kind of people, it means right skill set, skill, knowledge, and attitude. So they have to be made available, and that happens to be the main role of the HR department. So earlier, people used to think about the regular workforce, but with the change in time, with the passage of time, the work does not wait only and only thinks about the people who are to be brought on the role of the company, because nobody wants to carry the regular workforce in an organization. Even PSUs, they never used to venture out for the outsourced management concept. Today, they are living this concept. For example, a company like GAIL is a Maharatna PSU under the government of India. It's a under the administrative Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Our regular workforce is less than 5,000. Our profit PAT is more than 9,000. And each employee is contributed close to 2 crore. But our source strength is around 25,000. I'm not saying that all are in regular, activities. That could be people are involved and engaged in project activities. Are the days when people used to think about that manpower planning, we should only think about the standard templates, that we must have such and such organogram at corporate and then work center, and we must have requisite kind of skill set for each level, so on and so forth. Today, when you think about the workforce planning, you take into consideration what are those areas where we can engage or deploy the contract workforce. That is, and the contract workforce is not limited to the contract labor, because people generally think about that contract laborers are engaged in low-tech areas. Now today, concept has undergone tremendous change. People are coming up with different propositions that fixed term employment. Because in a kind of project, probably you require people, but those manpower may not be required once the project is commissioned. So fixed term employment concept has very strongly. Then gig worker, the platform worker. There are many people they extend services to the organization through different portals and the platforms, and they are not required to visit office on a regular basis. They can on their side, on their platform, but the services are invaluable for the organization. So the point I'm trying to make, that workforce planning has become and assume lot of importance now. So when you talk about the recruitment and selection, I'm not getting into the talent acquisition. What is recruitment and selection? We generally talk about to attract adequate number of potential candidates to seek employment in your organization. That happens to be the recruitment. The process is huge. At the background, you decide, for example, you need plumbers. Generally, you would like to attract people from Odisha. So on and so forth. So you need to have a media planning, you need to have different sets of planning at the back end to ensure that you get the right number of potential candidates to seek employment in your organization. And then you must have the filtration process. Then you say that you must have proper job description or proper job specification. You must be very clear the kind of skill set you are in need of, so that proper filtration process, you get the right numbers at your disposal, so that an act of selection, you identify the best fit for your organization. This is what I'm saying that, and this recruitment selection in today's scenario, we call it talent acquisition, because human resource happens to be the crucial resource of an organization. So we deal with the talent, we deal with the skill set, we don't deal with the numbers, we don't deal with the, the human beings, but we deal with the, yes, for HR, I'll come back separately when we talk about the leadership, that how empathy works for it. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make, this talent acquisition, then the talent management again. So we don't hire an individual, we hire skill sets. Therefore, there has to have proper compensation and benefit management policy. You must have a proper reward and recognition policy. You must be, knowing those who work in the government, particularly in the government sector like PSUs. The PSUs never had proper reward and punishment scheme, because the moment you want to recognize or reward someone, the large number of people, they used to feel demoralized. So there was the imperative need on the part of the institution to create a process or policy to institutionalize the reward and recognition scheme. And the first breakthrough that took place in 2007 pay division, government, with the support of the pay division company, came up, pay division committee came up with the performance related payment scheme. What does it talk about? It has got three components. One component is dealing with the individual performance. If your individual is not performing well, his PRP will go down, and it comes down drastically. If you are an outstanding performer, you will be eligible for 100%. If you are, the average, very good performer, 75, good performer, 60%. But if your performance is below good, that is average, fair or the poor, you will not be eligible for any payment on account of performance related. Similarly, the group performance, because that promotes the team functioning. So if the team does not perform, so the team will not get the 100% performance. So again, it percolates from the MOU that an organization is expected and required to sign with the government. So MOU score covers the 50% of your performance payment. If you can't achieve the targets provided to you as an organization, your 50% payment is at stake. Then 30% on account of the team performance and 20% on account of your individual performance. The point I'm trying to make, at everybody wants to work, but differentiation has to be created. And in this differentiation is in the interest of the institution. Even from the childhood days, we have seen that, the differentiation works. Even in the school, there is a concept of scoring marks. Had the score better, you are recognized. First boy, second boy, third boy. That is how we create differentiation. And then, based on the merit, that is selection. For example, everybody cannot afford to get an admission to IIT Roorkee. So differentiation happens to be the order of life. The point I'm trying to make, based on that performance orientation, you need to have proper reward and recognition scheme. So performance management occupies a central stage in the policy formulation. Let me not get into the each item because eat away my time because the time is very limited, 45 minutes. So now the talent of optimization. Yes, anybody who joins an organization, he wants to understand his career model, career path, how he will move higher in the ladder. What are the yardsticks? What are the what plan for him? How do you set the key performance areas? How do you measure those performance in terms of key performance indicators so that he is clear from the very beginning that how he can move into the ladder. So that is really important for your the talent optimization also. Let me not get into the theoretical part because it will require my time. So again, this is the first part was human capital management. The second part is leadership. No, this is a very, very loosely used word today because everybody wants to be a leader. Why they want to become the leader? Because they feel that certain benefits are associated with the leadership. But leader is basically not a boss. Leader is basically a member of the team. But by virtue of his certain, the good attributes and he is permitted to lead the team, being a part of the team. So leader must have the ability to influence the team member to have the linear thinking, to corroborate and to collaborate with the objective of the organization. So he has to have a kind of leadership to create inspiration amongst the members of the team. He should be able to motivate, and finally, no team is a good team until unless it delivers. So they contribute towards the delivery model of the organization. So let me not get into the theoretical part again, because I would like to establish these issues like initiative, drive, empathy, and the leading from the front, those through an example, so that I know it would have been better had we been able to create a case study approach, and so that against each case study I would have been able to establish how leadership is made visible. But within this short period of time, I want to cover as many dimensions and issues as possible, because I'm already I think I have already eaten away 10 to 15 minutes time next. So I would spend more time here, the sharing of life and experiences. Yes, and I would like to say, because that during my last 36, 37 years of journey, I have headed the policy group, the employee relations group, the social security benefits group, and the superannuation benefits group, the basic presidential group. So I would like to touch upon how to create a policy so that it serves the corporate intent to the society. It should not only serve the purpose of the employees in the organization, because there is an inherent conflict between the employees' objective and the organizational objective, because employees expect more and more compensation, more and more benefits, whereas the organization looks for a very robust balance sheet, having more and more profit. So at times there are conflict of interest because the management feels any benefit you pass on, that is a cost to the company. But nature believes in other form. Nature believes no, it is an investment. And you have a more and more return. So one has to strike a balance. So the policy we create, it has to serve the organization, and it has to serve the employees of the organization. And it is, I am saying employees does not necessarily mean that employees who are on the regular role of the organization. That could be the workforce, those who are engaged with the organization in different forms altogether. Maybe outsourced, employees like contract labor, fixed-term employees, so on and so forth. So the policy, in fact, I would like to say that social security related policies, you must understand that employees, whenever they join an organization, and for that matter, any individual, they suffer a sense of insecurity. Because in that, young age, you don't understand. Once you get married, you have the family size grows, you have your sons and daughters, their education, so on and so forth, look after the old parents. You tend to develop a kind of sense of insecurity. And therefore, if you expect an individual as an employee of the organization to work for you wholeheartedly, you need to understand, you need to provide a kind of sense of security that has to be ignited. And therefore, I say that, I don't want to say many things. I want to say the social security space in GAIL, we thought about it. We thought that if something goes wrong with the organization, because our is a hazardous operation, despite the excellent sustains in case, accidents do occur. And in a project, accidents do occur. In the LPG plant, your petroleum plants, we deal with many activities which are hazardous activities. So therefore, accident minimized but can't be ruled out, and that takes away the lives. So we thought, why don't we think of having a financial assistance scheme? And we thought that being public sector and operating in the kind of social security settings under the government of India, will not be able to provide employment, because that is not fair also. Providing employment is compromising the quality intake, because providing employment, it's a voluntary scheme. It could be a human approach, but that does not serve the organization. But why do we think of providing employment? Because we think that in the absence of an earning member, what will happen to the family members, those who are dependent on them? So we created a financial assistance scheme, and we call it that if an employee dies, immediately we'll think about financial assistance, and starting from 50 lakhs to higher amounts, depending upon the 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 level of the employees. And we also about debt relief fund, again not less than 60 lakhs, so that anything happens, that he is immediately being given 1 crore or more than 1 crore, so that his earning gets, he can buy annuity, a pension kind of arrangement, besides other social security matters, your provident fund, your gratuity, pension, so on and so forth. But a disposable income of more than 1 crore is immediately, made available to him. And secondly, anybody who works for the organization, he would like to lead a very comfortable life, quality of life. And therefore, he has house building loan, he has got car loan, so on and so forth. But if somebody dies, then we decided that he doesn't have to, that his dependence does not require, dependent required to the immediately to repay the loan amount. So we created an insurance scheme, say around a very, very meager amount, 30 rupees or so, we deducted from his salary, so that if something is wrong, then that he does not or she does not require to refund the loan amount. So all long-term advances, be it your house building loan, car loan, so the insurance company will pay to the organization. So what I'm saying that understanding the psyche of the individual and then to create a policy, it requires a foresight. So that happens. And because of any policy you formulate, it has to serve the three dimensions. One, the work. Second is the workplace. And third is the workplace. Most importantly, the workforce. So, secondly, there is another example. Today we are talking about pandemic. It's a huge issue. During the March, August, employees could join the institution. There is to be huge hue and cry on the plights of contract labor, migrant labor. But I was heading the policy group with the help of our team. What we decided that we will make sure, because we being the regular employees, we get the full salary. But looking at employees, if we do not provide them the pay, because there is nothing wrong with them, they are making their services available to the organization at the disposal of the organization. It is the organization they are not in a position to avail of their services. Barring, of course, the essential activities where the employees are working. But for the non-essential activities, they make them available, but the organization are not availing of the services, we decided we will pay and beat a case that they are at home. We ticket them and they're on duty. And we had to go to the, it's very difficult in a public sector kind of setting to get such decision. So we had to go to the apex body of the institution. We call it board of directors, because under 176 of the Companies Act in come across, they enjoy enormous power. So after a series of presentation, we could convince the board of directors that it will gain the company, but it will create a kind of ownership on the part of the contract labor for the organization. And we did it. So in the social space, you have to really think very seriously, how do you propose to inculcate a kind of sense of security amongst the workforce, those who are working with you in one form or the other. For example, a simple case, the pandemic we are talking about. No, this HIV AIDS also a staggered pandemic. We took a very conscious call that you cannot apply untouchability kind of arrangement for such group of employees. So we decided, okay, fine, you avail of your leave. In addition to that, we'll also provide you 1 hour leave, 1 year leave, 365 days, the full payment, full paid salary. So that you recover and join back. So this kind of support system organization has to provide to an individual if the organization expects them to contribute their best. For example, policies. I tell you, government had introduced the child care leave for 2 years. GAIL happens to be a paradise for the women employment. This employment. Why? Because you cannot go to ignore the contribution of the other gender. They contribute significantly not for the organization, but for the family, but for the society. So we introduce the child care leave, paternity leave, disability leave. The child care leave, this, if you look at the cost to the company, but if you look at the larger canvas, you find that it is very important. When your wife works for an organization, you realize, because my daughter, I am the father of a single child. I know the kind of trauma they pass through because I've got a grandson less than 1 year old, and my daughter is going to work, in a commercial entity. Mind it, public sector, unlike in the past, they are now treated as a commercial entity only. And therefore, like any other private sector, the cornerstone, even for the public sector, is only and only to pursue the commercial interest. But the point is, it's a cost or an investment. You need to really, think about it to gain the commitment, to gain the ownership. So such policies are very, very important. As I said that, besides policy formulation, I'm on to the, when I look after the employee relations, or in earlier days, people used to talk about industrial relations. In fact, when, I graduated from the, I did my, MBA from ISWBM, applied to Kolkata University. And there used to be intake of only 30 students, and there used to be, plethora of offer, because on those days, unlike the present context, that once you are selected somewhere, you are not permitted to, opt for the, second campus, recruitment process. In our times, there used to be, many companies, but only 30 students. So, everybody used to have more than 3 or 4 offers. And, when I had got 3 offers, and 2 from the PSUs, because my father, with a middle class background, asked me only and only to look for PSU kind of employment. So when I'd gone to my the mentor, in fact I must admit, the head of the department was Professor K. Basu. He was the former director personnel of Air India and the Hindustan Copper. When I had gone to him, sir, what do I do? Says, once you have taken a decision that you'd like to work for HR, on those days, of course, personnel management, that you should work for industrial relation, employee relation. That happens to be specialized function within the ambit of the personnel management. And I will suggest you join labor intensive industry. That happens to be a complicated industry, and the complicated, you will learn a lot. And at the same time, he advised me, you should also seek admission to LLB course, because you must understand the legal implication and imperative while dealing with the trade unions and others. So that had only prompted me to join, the BUT company. That time it was nationalized and became the National Jute Manufacturers Corporation, having 36,000 workforce. So I tell you, it was a very interesting place to learn the industrial relations. Now we call it employee relations. So I did, LLB, then ILLM, because I suddenly developed interest in the in the areas of legal, matters. and then I did my PhD also. And in fact, I could make out that much to offer as a legal aid. I don't understand or undervalue the HR the space, but yes, because once you win a case of 10,000 crores arbitration or $1 billion, the $2 billion arbitration or the court case, a kind of तो हिंदी में यहाँ कहा जाता है वो फूल का फूटता है, right? Really, very elaborate. Now coming back to that, I consider that I have been given and imparted proper training to negotiate with the workers' union. So I was part and parcel of several wage negotiated settlement. In fact, if you work for any kind of PSU, there are two sets of employees. One is officers' cadre, where the pay revision is decided by the pay revision committee and it is thrusted upon or imposed on the officers. There is hardly any kind of negotiation strength today. So from 97 onward, the pay revision committee is working. So it is a 10 years, the compensation package decided by the pay revision committee. They formulate the policy through a proper, consultation process. But for the workforce, the maximum workforce, the non-executives, we call it, in our, under the Industrial Disputes Act as the workmen. So wage is negotiated. Of course, the parameters are there, and we could negotiate and settle the compensation structure on our non-executives or the workmen category, even during this pandemic, the COVID-19 situation. So what point I'm trying to make, if you really follow the transparency, the principles of transparency and equity, you'll find that other side will start cooperating. We have just concluded, a few months back, and to the surprise, utter surprise of the stakeholders that it could be achieved even during the pandemic days. And we are also, created skill development, institute primarily. It is only, also to serve the society. And it is imparting skills, you have many statutes, for example, the Apprentices Act, but yet generally does not serve until your heart and soul for the implementation of this statute. So the corporates cannot operate in isolation, cannot remain away from the requirements of the society. And therefore, one of the important functions is to upgrade the skill sets of the young, of the youths. And that is how we created an institution under the National Development, the Skills Council. And that is doing extremely well. And we not only impart training, we allow them to join us back in the different formats, be it, through contract, through fixed-term employment, so on and so forth. So the standard of the lives of the youth, by giving this a job opportunity, helping the organization directly or indirectly. And one thing that is, in fact, this the last subject of this policy, that we need to ensure the industrialism.
Sir, pardon me, sir. Pardon me, sir. Sir, pardon me, sir. Sorry for interrupting. Can we start the QA session within 5 minutes, sir? Could we do the QA session in 5 minutes?
I have already gone to, I am only giving the examples only. I am not giving the, the theory.
Okay, sir. Some students have. No, sir. The QA session, sir. Question answers. Students have some questions for you. So can we do in 5 minutes? Sir?
Okay, let me quickly get into the, in fact, the point I'm trying to make in today's scenario, people are averse to the labor laws, particularly the HR fraternity. But, once you join the industry, you need to really understand that labor laws are very, very important, because until you know the labor laws, very difficult for you to work in a manufacturing kind of setup. My last slide would be, in fact, leveraging the technology happens with the order of life, and we have implemented. I was the project manager. That is why the time is very short. This is the last slide, and I must tell you that uh, when I worked for the Vijaypur, we worked for the project affected person. That is the in the social security space, basically for the the project affected the in the form of social component plan, because they are the people. In case you serve them, in case you provide them kind of comfort, they become a shield for the organization and they protect your organization. So that you cannot lose sight of it. In corporate office, when I moved to corporate office as a staff officer, I could see that one has to move from the functionality to the business manager approach, because ultimately you have to see the larger canvas. And then once you look at the larger canvas, once you go up in the ladder, you cannot do justice to the given assignment. ERP project, I said that I was the project manager and the HR team lead. Although there are chief project manager, during this project, the implementation, I had the privilege of, dealing with the contract and procurement department management. I was asked to coordinate effectively with the SAP, the implementation agency, the IBM, and other stakeholders. It was very difficult task to implement ERP, because we took an ambitious plan that we will have online, the claims and benefits, will not have paperless, kind of functioning. So we decided to have kiosks at every floor of the institution, and we created that, the kind of arrangement that IT people will be at, every floor, so to give the handholding to the employees to, prefer their claims online and so on and so forth. When I was in the BCPL project, the JV of GAIL, I was the first non-technical officer in
Sir,
charge.
sir, I'm really sorry for the interruption, sir. Can we move to
So,
the question answer session? So if you soon, we have a few questions for
yeah,
you.
that will be great. That will be great. And that will be, yeah, that will.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sir, one of the questions, sir, is government has started privatization of public sector firms, sir.
Yeah,
So how does
yeah.
privatization will help will affect the leadership structure of these companies?
In fact, there are arguments for and against whether private, if it, basically, move into the private sector kind of setup, whether it would be, functioning more efficiently, effectively or not. So the point I'm not going to get into the debate whether it is good for the country or not. But I must say that the public sectors happen to be the icons of the Indian the business, and in the difficult times, public sectors time and again they have proved to serve the purpose of the economy. The point I'm trying to make here, the whole issue revolves around or boils down to that whether the basic objective of the organization is served, whether being in private sector or in public sector. And the acid test is whether you are pursuing the commercial interest of the institution or not. But yes, the argument goes for privatization is to create more and more competition, and not to provide a plethora of benefits when you operate in a public sector kind of an environment. But I must tell you, my friend, post 1991 economic reforms, that no subsidies provided to any public sector. They are trying to stand on their own feet rather than those seek private public sector. So therefore, the government objective that they don't intend to remain in business, they intend to be a part of the governance, and therefore, other than those strategic sector, they intend to go for disinvestment.
Okay, sir. We have a last question here. One other question is how important is conflict management in workflow planning? Because too much conflict can reduce the efficiency of the work, sir. This is the question.
Then I did not get your question properly.
Sir, how important is conflict management in workflow planning?
Yeah, that's very important in any institution. In fact, mentioned there is an inherent conflict of interest. So the point is there used to be a the typical course curriculum earlier in the past, and that is team building and conflict management. And I tell you that the until unless you move into the from I to we, and we move into corroborative and collaborative approach, the conflict is likely to happen. And therefore, I always say that one has to move out from the silo and get into the cross-functional kind of functioning and and operate in a cross-functional team, understanding and appreciating the limitations of the process owner. You cannot serve as an HR manager.
Okay, sir. So sorry for because we have some little bit time constraint. So we have to end this session. This is quick time. So again, sir, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, so much for explaining these core concepts which are inherent of human capital management in such a short manner. We learned a lot today from your experience, and you really shared the knowledge, essential knowledge, to the management students. We believe that but as budding managers at DOMS, we have gained a lot today from you and through this session. We are really grateful for your time and insights. And again, sir, we are delighted to tell you that in this occasion of Avenir, we have launched an initiative called Breaking Darkness. Uh, if our CR can show it, as you can, and as you know, Avenir means growth. So the best way to add meaning to our event would be to help someone grow. So there will be no better way, better helping hand than providing education. So each year, starting from this year, DOMS will be donating a sum to Hope Foundation for sponsoring the education of underprivileged girl children in honor of the guest speakers guessing this our conclave. Uh, this is it, sir. And thank you again, sir.
Thank you
Thank you
so
again,
much. Thank you so much. Thanks for the invite. And in fact, uh,
and
uh, platform. Thank you so much.
and we have a vote for thanks for you, sir. Vote of thanks for you. Please wait, students. Can you please show?
Yeah, yeah, please. Great. Great.
Thank you, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.